the system responded slowly. Not because it hadn't noticed, but because it preferred certainty. Ethan Rowe felt the change before he could define it. The city still moved. Systems still compensated. Absence still bent processes. But the margin tightened. At first, it showed up as repetition, the same maintenance alerts appearing in different districts. The same reconciliation delays surfacing across unrelated platforms. The same low-priority flags persisting longer than expected. The system had stopped isolating anomalies. It had begun grouping them. Ethan sat inside a transit hub and watched a status board refresh. Once, twice, 3 times. The same entry remained. Unassigned variable. He did not touch anything. He did not move closer. He waited. By late morning, the waiting became mutual. Systems hesitated longer. Corrections lagged. Compensations layered over each other. The system was no longer correcting toward equilibrium. It was correcting toward containment. Ethan adjusted immediately. He shortened his presence windows, altered timing, changed routes. The system followed, not precisely, but consistently. At 1:14 p.m., Ethan felt it clearly. A convergence. Separate systems, transport, utilities, municipal tracking, were no longer compensating independently. They were sharing context. The implication was subtle and dangerous. Context required classification. Ethan remembered the language of the file. Not dramatic, not emotional, procedural, resolved. Do not revisit. That label had not been applied to him. It had been applied to the incident. Ethan realized then that classification was still incomplete. The system had resolved the past. It had not resolved the present. At 3:22 p.m., a public terminal displayed a new category. Anomalous continuity detected. The words meant nothing to the people passing by. To Ethan, they meant everything. Continuity implied persistence. Persistence implied resistance. The system did not like resistance. It liked predictability. Ethan moved again, not to hide, to test. He crossed 3 districts in under an hour, appearing briefly in high-certainty zones, places that assumed identity, places that required validation, places that generated dense data. The system reacted faster, delays shortened, corrections sharpened, classification pressure increased. The system was narrowing its definitions. Ethan stopped in an underground walkway and leaned against the wall. He closed his eyes. He listened, not to sound, but to absence. This was the danger point. Once classified, the system would choose a response. Correction, containment, or escalation. Ethan understood now why no one had come for him before. The system didn't act until it knew what something was. He had been noise. Now he was signal. At 6:48 p.m., Ethan saw the classification settle, not as a label, but as behavior. Systems began rooting around him deliberately, not compensating, avoiding. Avoidance meant acknowledgement. Ethan smiled once, not because he'd won, because the system had crossed a line. It had recognized him without knowing his name. Somewhere deep inside a secured server, his file remained unchanged. Resolved, do not revisit. But the system had done something it wasn't supposed to do. It had created a new category. And categories, once created, demand resolution. Ethan stepped back into the flow of the city. He would not push further. Not yet. The next move belonged to the system.